Madam Deputy President, Fire Festival was a luxury music festival marketed to lure the rich and the famous and the social media influencers and those who simply wanted a totally unique festival experience on the Bahamian island of Great Exuma. Organised by an American businessman known for less than scrupulous dealings, it brought global media together, which covered the glitz and the glamour of announcements. The festival promised attendees a luxurious experience with high-end accommodations, gourmet food, and performances by top musical acts. Fire Festival was the ultimate product of the hype machine. It had celebrity endorsements from some of the most recognisable names in pop culture: Kendall Jenner, Hailey Bieber, Bella Hadid, and Ja Rule. It had tickets selling for up to $12,000. It was big on shiny announcements and yet unfortunately small on detail. Those lucky enough to buy tickets and arrive at the island were greeted with an impromptu party mollified with alcohol and shown to their soaking wet gravel car park accommodation. Instead of luxury villas, there were disaster relief tents. Gourmet meals were replaced with cheese sandwiches served in styrofoam baskets. Many attendees were stranded without proper accommodation or transportation. There was a lack of basic amenities like drinking water and functioning toilets. Instead of Blink 182, who cancelled on the day, guests were entertained by local Bahamian artists. "Come seek," the Fire Festival marketing read, "for searching is the foundation of fortune." Mr. President, we are seeking, and if the searching is the foundation of fortune, then I am wealthy indeed. In this bill, I have searched long and hard for details and clarification because I believe the true riches will be found in the tangible detail. The detail is where the real business of running a festival is done and made. The detail is where festival goers will be protected. While the opposition is supporting the bill, I call on the Minister to confirm key details about its operation and implementation, which are not presented in the bill before us. I'm fearful that this bill is all tip and no iceberg, all sunny and no Cher, all Meg White and no Jack. The festival industry deserves better than press releases that are actually more detailed than the legislation. And I appreciate the very good intentions of the Minister, and we have in fact spent time together at a festival at Splendour in the Grass, watching Flume at his 10-year anniversary celebrations. It was fantastic, and I know the Minister has a lot of passion and experience in this field. However, I'd like to go through the legislation bit by bit to outline some of the concerns that I have. The first issue lies in the explanatory note of the bill, which states something that isn't actually found in the bill itself, that Schedule 1, 8 to 10, states that the Health Secretary must agree to or refuse to agree to the health and medical plan at least 14 days before a festival will be held. Unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, not in the bill itself, is a mention of the time frame that is referred to in the explanatory note, and it raises an important issue because while I acknowledge that this time frame was actually in the original Act under the previous process, I want to stress that 14 days is not enough time for a festival organiser to respond to, whether by appeal or in a material organisational sense, a determination made by the government as to any additional or more onerous requirements of a health and medical plan. For the benefit of festival organisers, I would like the Minister to please clarify what that timeframe will be. In noting that the timeframe is designed to be in regulation or guidelines rather than legislation, it is extremely unfortunate that the regulations that will be essentially the driving force of the detail of this bill are not available to review and scrutinise currently. I would like the Minister to please confirm the date that these regulations will be released, given there are numerous parts of the Act from Section 5.5a to Section 5a to Section 6.2a to Section 10aa and so on that rely on regulations to be clarified before they can actually be enacted. And I note also that the Music Festival guidelines were last updated in October 2023 and do not relate to the current bill and the terms that are used, so will also need to be updated, and I would also ask that the Minister please provide detail on when that will be provided as an updated document in line with this bill. There are key details required by the industry to determine their own operational timelines. If the government is serious about getting this done before the summer festival season, these details would already be available for scrutiny and discussion. Section 2A, relating to the commencement of the Act, also presents a problem for festival organisers because of its lack of detail and clarity. A key component of the government's announcement around assistance for festivals relates to the opportunity for organisers to seek waivers for government fees. I'll come back to the detail and process shortly, but wanted to strongly make the point that relegating this critical policy shift to starting on a date that is yet to be determined is really a bit disrespectful to this place and also to business operators expecting urgent action, which they have been told they would get from this government. On behalf of the festival industry, I would like the Minister to please confirm on what date he intends Section 19C and 19D to be in force. And going to the detail of 19C and 19D, this relates to the appeal against the imposition of government charges in relation to music festivals. And unfortunately, while there is some information about what that process might look like, key details are not present in the bill. And I point to the definition of exceptional circumstances that may apply, and also the payment of the amount that would impact on the financial viability of the music festival not being specified. And these are really key pieces of information for operators, as other honourable members have referred to. If this detail isn't explained in the bill, then where will it be explained and when? Further, in 19D, there is a provision that the Minister may make an order for purposes of the section of the waiver that includes the process and timeframes for making applications and the criteria to be used in assessing applications. The fact that this is not included in the bill represents a really problematic quandary, really, for festival organisers who are trying to get through this summer festival season. We know already from this bill that subject festivals will not be required to go through this process, but those festivals which are not subject festivals are still waiting to understand what's going on. And if we're thinking about, I mean, there was a 90-day time frame that was listed in the explanatory note, again, not actually listed in the detail of the bill, but if festival organisers have to put forward some sort of health and medical plan 90 days before their festival, that's 3 months away. I mean, how will they actually be able to appropriately comply with the intention of this bill if it is supposed to be for this summer that the bill is in operation? The timelines actually don't make sense if we're to take the explanatory note as an indication of where this government is going. Further in the bill, I know Ms. Kate Fairman raised this, that this bill does not include a formal mechanism or timeframe for the review of the bill. I note that the former Act had a 5-year timeframe, that's why the review happened in the first place, but I understand this is an amendment, but I think given the importance of industry stakeholder interaction, that it's important to understand from the Minister if the Minister intends to have a review and in what time frame that would occur. Relating to the Music Festival Roundtable, there are important definitions that I think need to be clarified. In Section 3, Membership of Music Festival Roundtable, Part C, there is the opportunity for up to 2 additional members nominated by a person or body that represents peer-based harm reduction services to be on the roundtable. I note that peer-based harm reduction services as a cohort of organisations is incredibly small. It possibly actually only relates to 2 organisations, that is Dancewise, which already has 2 members on the roundtable, and perhaps a service run by ACON called Rovers, but generally I understand that they are most focused on events like Mardi Gras, specific LGBTQI events that are large scale. So I would ask that the Minister really clarify what peer-based harm reduction services are and actually consider changing that terminology to be more widespread, perhaps around policy advocacy rather than peer-based, which is quite specific, and also services, which are, again, very specific in nature and don't necessarily relate to or are already covered in the roundtable, and that there could be a wider consultation mechanism provided should those terms be updated in the bill. Further, the reporting on the roundtable, there is a specification in that schedule relating to the provision of an annual report. I would note that currently the minutes of each roundtable meeting are available online, including attendees, obviously what was discussed and some outcomes and who's responsible for those. So I would also ask the Minister to please confirm that those minutes following each roundtable meeting, the quarterly meetings, I believe they are, yes, quarterly, should be public and will be made public as they are currently. As the Shadow Assistant Minister for the 24-hour economy, I want to note that I too, like many members of this place, have, and the Honourable Damien Tudor-Hope, have deep experience in attending festivals, enjoying live music, being a part of a fantastic community, whether it's Subsonic, Listen Out, Field Day, Big Day Out has already been mentioned. Also festivals like Marmalade Skies, which was this incredible boutique festival held outside of Goulburn, certainly less than 5,000 attendees, and a wonderful cultural experience out in the, I don't know if you call it the bush really, it's paddocks, but it was an incredible experience with lots of wonderful attendees making friends and having a great time. And this is really the cultural value in the festival sector. It's such an important part of our community building, and unfortunately we're finding at the moment, and this has been found in many reports, that younger people are not going to festivals at rates that they were before. And I think that presents quite a big cultural problem for the continuation of festivals, that you develop a culture early on of going out into environments where you might not know lots of people and you're able to meet them, that you're exposed to different kinds of musical acts that you're able to enjoy and then take on that fandom as your life goes on. And scientifically, it's been proven that attending music festivals improves mood and also a sense of connection amongst people. So it's good for our society to have more festivals. And I also note that festival goers should feel safe and be safe in enjoying music festivals, and that's part of the reason that the opposition is supporting this bill, to support those measures that do that. And I also want to be clear that festival organisers want safe festivals. Festival organisers want their attendees to have a great time, to go home safely, to arrive with confidence that they will be looked after if they need to be, but most importantly that hopefully they don't need to be looked after, that they can go and enjoy themselves with their friends and with their new friends. Festival organisers benefit from safe and enjoyable environments that are that give that sense of connection. And one of the things that I heard from a festival organisation, and I've spoken to a couple of organisers, is that shared data from police would be very helpful to allowing them to plan festivals in the future, that they can learn from any issues that arose, that they wanted cooperation from councils, and liquor records obviously are part of that, and local police commands are also part of that local engagement. Recently I was made aware that previously expensive noise management companies have been chosen by government rather than suppliers being able to be chosen by festival organisers. I understand that this is shifting now, but this is an important cultural shift. We need to ensure that festival organisers, the people who are on the ground, who are doing the hard work, who know the industry inside out, are the people who are helping government to produce safe festivals. And obviously we want government to help, but it's not just about the imposition of conditions, it's also about listening to people who are on the ground and who, again, want to actually provide these safe environments for their festival goers, which will obviously increase their business over time, increase their ticket sales, and make them even more enjoyable and hopefully sustainable. I did also want to note that if protesters don't have to pay for police, why do festivals have to pay for police? The Honourable Kevin Anderson, who is our Shadow Arts Minister and Tourism Minister in the other place, He has advocated for the waiving of fees by government. Unfortunately, as has been mentioned already, there has been little clarification about if fees are waived, depending on how the process works, where that money will be coming from, and that is a problem. We need to understand how this will actually operationally function. And I also just wanted to note the review of the Festival Act. Unfortunately, the stakeholders consulted for the review it's a very limited list. It's quite a I don't want to say it's a sad list, but it's not as exciting and vibrant a list as you might hope for such an... The Honourable Damien Tudor wasn't interviewed, and given his experiences stated in this House, that is a loss for us all, But the problem really is that when you look at this list, there's 13 entities listed. There are no interviews that have been conducted directly with festivals, festival organisers. There are 151 festivals that are held in New South Wales this year, according to Creative Australia's Creative Festivals dashboard, 151 festivals. And yet, none of the organisers of those festivals were included and consulted for this festival's review. That's really problematic, and I think it should be very concerning that we're making decisions based on reviews that don't have I would suggest, unfortunately, the depth that is required to understand the impact of legislation on their industries. And honestly, that includes data as well that could be gathered from this very vibrant industry. So, I hope that in the future, these reviews and this government commits to directly interacting with festival organisers. And I too would like to thank the AFA for their advocacy, but I also think it's important that individual experience of festivals are actually part of this contribution, because festivals are hugely diverse. That 151 festivals, it's about 15% that are under 20,000. From my understanding, there are big festivals, there are internationally run festivals, there are local festivals. It's just huge variety of genres. We've got regional festivals, and I'm glad that the Shadow Arts Minister in the other place was able to get amendments through that represent regional New South Wales. I think that is incredibly important, and nobody knows the area better than the Shadow Minister. He is a touring working musician himself, travelling around New South Wales. He is a person who understands this industry from the ground up, and so getting his amendments in is very, very useful, I think, for the depth of this bill. We have to ensure that New South Wales is home to excellent festival events, and that means taking every opportunity to provide clarity to the festival operators and artists who are trying their best to persevere under extremely challenging circumstances, regulatory and financial. Mr. President, we'll know soon enough whether the Fire Festival has learnt its lessons. There is a Fire Festival too, and this time tickets will be up to $1 million for those who want to attend. It's next year in April. I'll be watching Fire Festival 2 closely, but the opposition will be watching even more closely the rolling out of this new bill and its real impact on festivals and their organisers and festival goers, hardworking business owners and artists. And I look forward to the debate in the committee stage, but thank the industry stakeholders who have come forward with their ideas, with their concerns, and hope that festival goers are safe this festival season.
Thank you.